Okay, and we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with another update video. Check out some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press today. We'll also go into the comment section, check out what is happening there too. We'll also go into the live chat, see what is going on there also, because it's always good to see what viewers are talking about in that live chat that I have just here to my right. So we'll check that out as we go through the video. In the second half of today's live stream, we will go into that chat section. Hope everybody is well. And we'll get straight into the news here on the 1st of August 2023. And the big story today that caught my attention, this one here, it's a question that I have been asking myself for close to 2 decades living in Spain, and it is, why does Spain continue to lead European unemployment despite the best figures in 15 years? If there is social peace, the economy is growing, and the unemployment figures are the best in 3 decades, why is there still such a difference between Spanish and European unemployment figures? This is the million-dollar question. It has been a constant in our economy for 40 years now, and the truth is that I don't think anyone has really found the answer, says Miguel Basterra from the University of Alicante. After so many years, with the consequent changes of government and management teams, they would have already implemented the identified solution. Or even if the central line of causality had been identified, the inertia of our labour market has not been reversed, adds Bastarra. However, this expert points to the weight of activities such as tourism in our economy as one of the possible reasons. Our economic model depends to an excessive extent on sectors that are not very resilient in the face of job destruction, such as construction or the hotel and catering industry. So there we go. That's the question. As I said, that I have been asking myself a long time in Spain, why does Spain have such high unemployment figures? When you live in a big city like Madrid, you don't really notice it too much because there's always lots of activity going on. But whenever the figures are published, they are always terrible. And if we have a look at this map here of Europe, we can see there Spain in the dark blue, 11.7%, as we saw there. Only Greece comes close at 11.1%. Portugal, neighbouring country, 6.4%, France 7.1%, Ireland 3.8%, and as we see other parts of the European Union there, or the Eurozone, with lower unemployment figures than Spain. So the question is not easy to answer, and as that expert points out here, nobody has really found the answer, but most likely because of the types of jobs that are created. Whenever the economy goes down, those jobs are destroyed very, very quickly. Construction, tourism, and things like that. And that's the reason. And as we know in Spain, there's a small percentage of the population that have very good work contracts and a large majority that have very bad work contracts. And those are the jobs that get destroyed when the economy goes down, which it does quite frequently, unfortunately. Another piece of news here, €7 EU entry fee sparks hysteria in the US and the UK. They don't respect us, somebody said. The days when citizens from more than 60 countries can enter the European Union without prior authorization are numbered, a decision that has raised dust in many of them, especially in the United States and the UK. From 2024, some 1.4 billion people will need the approval of the European Travel Information and Authorization System, ETIAS, to enter the Schengen area. This will cost €7 compared to the $21 required by Washington for European visitors. The measure has sparked the ire of former US President Donald Trump. Wow, US citizens will have to pay for a visa to travel to Europe from 2024. Think about it. We give them everything, including military protection and trade, and now we have to pay to go there? They have no respect for the US. As president, I will not allow this to happen. I will stop it immediately, the Republican proclaimed via the Truth Social network, which he owns. So those were Donald Trump's words there. They don't respect us. And as people have pointed out, a lot of negative press being directed towards Spain and other European countries because of this visa requirement from 2024 onwards. €7 people will have to pay. But the irony is that if you want to go to the States, you have to pay $21. So €7 is a bargain, 3 times more almost to go to the United States. So don't know what Donald Trump is talking about there, but as we know, sometimes a little bit difficult to understand Mr. Trump. But if he gets elected next year, he's going to stop it. Don't know how, but he's going to try. Another piece of news here about another person that has unfortunately passed away because of the high temperatures. A 24-year-old gardener has died in Murcia after suffering from heat stroke during his working day. This Monday or yesterday, a 24-year-old male gardener was left unconscious after suffering heat stroke while working in the Parazuelos area near Puntas de Calnegre in the municipality of Mazarrón. The emergency services tried to save the man, but it was not possible. At 1 p.m., 112 received a call from his colleagues alerting them to the incident. Lifeguards from the lifeguard post on the beach near the Lorca Town Hall travelled to the scene of the incident together with ambulances with medical staff from the 061 Emergency Health Service, the Guardia Civil and the local police of Mazarrón. Despite the efforts of the emergency services, the worker died as a result of heat stroke, according to the testimony of the health services present there. The incident has been reported to the Instituto de Seguridad Social Laboral de la Región de Murcia. So another person unfortunately dying, working out in the hot sun, 24 years old. So a little bit young in my opinion, but as we know, working out in those very hot temperatures as a gardener down there in Murcia, suffering heat stroke and unfortunately passing away, and all of the people that tried to revive that person unable to do so. So some sad news for the family of that man down there. So young, unfortunate. And we've seen various cases this summer. I think 2 or 3 spring to mind of people that have died before their time, getting stuck outdoors, working in the extreme conditions, and unfortunately suffering heat stroke. So we'll see what happens there now that the ministry is getting involved. And the final piece of news here, Britons flee Magaluf to party in other resorts. Hundreds of tourists are leaving Magaluf on a daily basis to party in other resorts where the laws on drinking and party boats are not so strict. For example, some hotels in Santa Ponsa are catering for British partygoers by organising pool parties that are banned in a large part of Magaluf. Others are heading to Palma to board the party boats, and Magaluf businessmen have complained that the situation is unfair. And although most of them support some aspects of the law of excesses, Magaluf is empty during the day while tourists are getting drunk in other areas of Mallorca. And when they get back to their hotels, they stay in their rooms and don't go out again. So the law having a negative effect, according to business people in Magaluf. British partygoers, primarily British, I think, Magaluf, looking for different places to get drunk, and they put it fairly clearly here, to get drunk. That's the main objective, and other main objectives, I imagine, but getting drunk and whatever comes as a result. And we can see here that Magaluf empty during the day, and when people come back at night, they're too tired or too drunk to do anything else, so they just go to their hotel rooms. So not good for that part of Mallorca, Magaluf, which, as we know, has a fairly bad reputation, hence the law of excesses being brought in to try to calm things down there. Now, that's the end of the news. We'll go into the comment section now, check out what's happening there. Lots of comments to get through. I'll start with this one here from Madrid correspondent Dave. Checked with my private health insurance company on how soon I could schedule an appointment with a dermatologist here in Madrid. Surprised me to see that there were 5 openings this week to choose from. Maybe your viewers should switch companies. Now, this debate or information popped up yesterday because somebody said that the soonest appointment with a dermatologist that they could get. Now, I don't know where they're living in Spain. They could be in Andalusia, Valencian community, I don't know. But they said that the first appointment wasn't until October with a private health company. And Dave there, out of curiosity, calling his private health insurance or the local private doctor and asking the soonest appointment for a dermatologist. and 5 in 1 week, I think we saw there. Wow. So maybe, as Dave suggests, change companies. But I'm not sure if that is the solution or not, because as I said, I don't know where the person is living. And I'm not sure which company Dave's with, to be honest, but I'm sure he will let us know. Maybe it's Sanitas, maybe it's Adeslas, I don't know, but they are the two most popular companies in Spain. So Dave, if you're watching, let us know. Another one here from Tony. Hi, Stuart. With reference to the visa to travel to the EU, the British press only states that you will need a visa to travel to Spain, making it look like it's a Spanish rule being imposed on the British. No mention that if you go anywhere in the EU, you will need a visa. Absolutely, Tony. But as we know, the British press can sometimes be a little bit negative towards Spain in particular. Don't know why. There seems to be a love-hate relationship. Sometimes you see fantastic press about Spain, but more often than not, negative. For example, one article that I saw today, which is something that happened last week, I think, a couple of beaches were forced to close because of water quality issues. And of course, the independent newspaper there in Britain or in England or wherever it's published, pointing that out, that beaches are closed, and the headline, very sensationalist, of course. But as we know, we do see quite negative press directed at Spain from the British tabloids from time to time. And I pointed it out here on numerous occasions. So Tony there reinforcing that saying that they're making it look as though if it's a Spain problem and not a European problem. But of course, it's Schengen that you have to pay that €7 to get your hands on a visa, whether you're from the UK, the States, 1.4 billion people, as we saw. So basically, the majority of countries around the world will have to fork out to get that visa. But the irony, as I said before, that it's 3 times cheaper than the visa currently needed to get into the States. But as we know, Trump will be on it if he gets elected next year. Another one here from Bionisos. Spain has too big a public sector, that's the fact, and it blocks every growth and well-being for the people. Only more bureaucracy, I think this word is, and corruption, just like in Finland or Argentina or Greece had ... The public sector is something that people do complain about. And I saw somebody reply to this comment and said, the public service in Spain is not that big. In fact, they need more workers to work in it. The fact of the matter is that it is quite big. And the problem that I see is not so much that the public sector is big, but it is that a lot of the Spanish population wants to work in the public sector. So they spend years and years sometimes of their life studying these oposiciones, as they call them. You see people on the television nowadays saying that is their profession, opositor. I've never seen that anywhere before, but they're desperate to get a public job because it's the only way that they can get that work side of their life secured, a regular salary every month, for basically not having to do a whole lot, I don't think, which is the case of a lot of government jobs, or at least it seems to be the stereotype. Some people in the public service, of course, work very hard, but there is a stereotype that people perhaps could be working a little bit harder, but a way to guarantee that salary to live in Spain, they want to get a job in the public service. And they spend, as I said, a few years of their life dedicated to this when they could be doing other things, maybe creating a business or getting out there and starting something new or trying to work in a different sector. But no, they're hitting the books, trying to study. And over the years, I've met people that were studying for 5 or 6 years and weren't successful with their oposición. So they had to go into the private sector. So not easy, but a lot of people, that is their main objective. Another one here from Anna Maria. Let me inform your audience about private health insurance in the US. Even with what we pay in the US, we are having to wait 6 months for an appointment with anyone, particularly specialists. That's the new post-pandemic reality. Thanks, Anna Maria, for pointing that out. I think everybody is aware of the problems that the United States health system has. The private health system have to pay a lot of money, might not get full coverage like you do, that universal health coverage that you get in Spain. Of course, the Spanish system is not free, but it comes out of your taxes. but it's not something that you have to pay every time you want to go and see a doctor. Whereas in Australia, for example, I think if you want to see a doctor, you have to pay a fee. You might get some money back from your health insurer, but you have to pay money. Whereas in Spain, everything's taken from your taxes or your social security, and when you go into the public system, you don't have to pay, but in the United States, you do. And I think even private health insurance in Spain is a lot cheaper when you compare it to those US prices or Australian prices for private health insurance. In fact, banks, my bank is giving special offers all the time to get full coverage private health and dental as well, for very, very low monthly fees. And that's one of the things that you will see if you are with a certain bank in Spain. I won't mention it, but it's probably the biggest bank in Spain and one of the biggest insurance companies. In fact, I mentioned it a few minutes ago when we looked at Dave's comment. Another one here from Brian. Asturias is where Jose Andres is from. Yes, I think he was born in Asturias, but I read on his Wikipedia page, Brian, that he went to live in Barcelona when he was a young boy, I think 5 years of age. His family moved to Barcelona, and I think that was an important an important move for Jose Andres, because he was put in contact with some of those famous Catalan chefs, Ferran Adrià, to name just one. And of course, he was able to train in the kitchens, I think, of those famous chefs, or with those famous chefs, I should say. So a little bit of luck, I think, in Jose Andres's family moving from Asturias. Like many families from Galicia, Asturias, other parts of northern Spain where the job markets don't really work, they, over the decades, have had to go to places like Catalonia to look for work, Madrid to look for work, other parts of the country where the job markets are better. And no difference there when it comes to Jose Andres, that internationally recognized Spanish chef who also had a run-in with Donald Trump a few years ago, if I remember correctly. Another one here from Alex. Given as immigrants we are unable to participate in the national elections, there is not really any political bias we can be accused of. Surely, absolutely, Alex. Finally, somebody is making sense when it comes to political bias. As I mentioned yesterday, I get people accusing me of being on the right. I get people accusing me of being on the left. I get people accusing me of being everything, and basically nobody has any idea. And as Alex points out there, because we can't participate, there's not really any political bias, right? Absolutely. Another one here from Phoenix. Bit long this comment, but I'll try to get through it. The more I watch your videos, the more I realize how the ills of Latin American countries come from Spain. The being late thing caught my eye. Here in the United States, it's also known as Latino time. People in Spain have said to me that Spain was here 500 years ago and that we should get over it. Well, yeah, that's when they arrived. Their royals, I think, were kicked out in the 1880s. Latin American countries were colonies for longer than they've been independent. That kind of corrupt and lazy culture gets ingrained deeply. The King Emeritus, being unable to keep his nose clean, explains the corruption experienced on this side of the pond. Now, I'm not going to go into all of this comment because it's a bit controversial, but talking about that punctuality thing that we've been talking about for the last few days, the differences between some cultures when it comes to being on time or not. And Phoenix, they're pointing out that where they are from, it's called Latino time, arriving a little bit late. And maybe we should say Spanish time in Europe when people arrive a little bit late. Oh no, he's on Spanish time. He arrives 20 or 35 minutes late to everything. But he's from Spain, no problem. And maybe it's something similar. I think the other point that you made there, that a lot of the customs and way of doing things in Latin America, obviously there is some connection with Spain, this being one of them. And I don't know some of the other things because obviously a little bit controversial to talk about them. But the fact of the matter is that the point that you make here, that the Royals were kicked out in the 1880s, I think it was earlier than that. I think it was around the 1810s, 1811s when Napoleon invaded Spain. They took advantage of the weakness of Spain and sought their independence, I think. at least the majority of countries around the same time, Argentina, Bolivia, Venezuela, Colombia, for example, around the 1810s, 1811s. So you're right that they were under Spanish control longer than they have been independent in some cases. But interesting, but I'm sure that some of the good things and bad things about Spain have rubbed off on Latin American countries. And the final one here from Pete Y. Max. We just returned from Chichon. Must be the Asturian way of spelling that word, Asturias, and it was not cheap. We were surprised by how prices had risen. Absolutely, Pete. Spain is not cheap anymore. And as we know, ever since the pandemic, prices this year, I think even up 20% on last year's prices when it comes to hotels, restaurants, bars, and things like that, tourist-related activities, up 20%, probably up 20% the year before. So that's what we're dealing with. But unfortunately, salaries stay the same. And that's what people complain about in Spain. That's what people are complaining about here in Portugal. Very interesting article the other day about the housing situation in Portugal from the Guardian newspaper. So if you get a chance to read it, check it out. Basically blaming all of the problems that the Portuguese are facing on the mass tourism that this country has experienced. Digital nomads coming down, foreign investors coming in with the golden visas and making it very difficult for the locals to live. And I think we will see the same problems in Spain, if they don't exist already, starting to pop up in coming years. Now, that's the end of the content when it comes to comments and news. But we'll go into the chat section now to keep the live stream happening. First thing I'm going to do is just put the like icon on the screen. Just over here is the like icon, and you'll find that just below the video. So if you haven't hit it yet, please do so. We're up to 55. Maybe you will be like number 55, 56, 57, 58. Maybe if you hit that one now. And also the email address, if you want to send me some information, which people have done in recent times. I've got a couple of interesting articles sent to me today, so thank you for that. You know who you are. And I'll be looking into those and see if it is something to bring to the channel or not. I'm sure that some of those things that you send me can be spoken about on the channel. So thanks for that. And that's the email address there to send things through to. Now, into the chat section I go. So I'll just organize this now. Let me open it up here. Here we go. So I'll just scroll up to the top. Renan coming in from LA, Los Angeles. Regular viewer is Renee, the first one that I can see here anyway. I'll bring that onto the screen. Another one here from Pauline. Good evening, everyone, from a very warm Rojales, enjoying a cool glass of the governor on the terrace. The old governor making another appearance in the chat section here. That famous red wine from Mercadona, the governor. $2.75 a bottle. Dave Anderson also coming in, just had a couple of weeks on the Costa del Sol, but did not enjoy the trip as on previous visits. Basically too hot, too expensive, and very poor air quality, so will not do it again, unfortunately. Dave saying goodbye to the Costa del Sol. Maybe try somewhere different, Dave. Head to maybe Alicante, or maybe to the north of Spain, where it's a bit cooler and the quality of the air is better. That would be my suggestion. But the Costa del Sol, probably a little bit too hot now for some people. It was too hot for me back in the day, and I imagine that it's only got hotter. Maga coming in from El Campello down there in Alicante, is it Maga? Regular viewer also. James and Kathy also coming in from a mild and sometimes sunny Worcester. Agree with Dave's comment, poor air quality in Spain while we were there in June, July, but great down in Cadiz. There we go. Thank you very much, James. Not Jane, James. Yeah, the air quality. Don't know what's going on there. Is it a traffic issue? Is it a Kalima issue? What is it? Let me know. Let me know. Erica also coming in from Terrassa. Fine and surviving. Crossing fingers about the weather tomorrow, I imagine. Seems that things are going to change in Catalonia. Need to sleep. difficult to sleep, right, Erica? That is the issue, isn't it, with those hot nights, those tropical nights, as they call them in Spain. And Erica's pointing out here that another yellow warning, 35 at lunchtime and 40 degrees Celsius yet again. Wow, dogs are on cooling mats. There we go. So no relief from the heat. Kathy coming in from Xeraco Playa, nice little beach. I can walk from one end, Avenida de la Mota, to Avenida Borrons to the end and turn around and go back. There we go. So Kathy enjoying time down there. Let me have a look here. Janet coming in also from Oxford. Nice day there. It's been a bit wet recently, I think, in Oxford, but nice day according to Janet. Amanda's coming in from the UK. Shropshire, I think, is where Amanda resides. David also in the chat. Brilliant show. And Community Stew just back from holiday from home in Asturias. Monsuni Kerry, Ireland now. Looking forward to being back in España. So there we go, going to the north of Spain, Dave there. I imagine having a home in that part of Spain. And we saw yesterday or the day before that a lot of people heading to the north of Spain looking for cooler weather. And in Asturias, you will find it for the time being. You will find it. What else? Becky coming in. Hello, how are you doing? Hot here in Benalmádena. There we go. That's the Costa del Sol, Benalmádena. Beth coming in from Cartagena. Very hot down there. Also in Murcia, Cartagena. Interesting city, Cartagena. I might be heading there shortly. Keeping on my Murcia theme. Ed coming in from a drizzy Cornwall. Sunny spell today. Good chance for tapas at a pincho bar in Fowey. There we go. Or Fowey. However you pronounce that word. Tapas bar there. Are they good, tapas, Ed? Let us know. Authentic? Let me know. What else we got going on? Anders, this is highly interesting. Good article. Not sure which one you're referring to there, Anders. Let me know. News and analysis with Arturo coming in from Alaska in the United States. News and analysis with Arturo. So I don't know whether Arturo is Spanish, but living in Alaska. Exploring with Jen is also here, coming in from Valencia. Didn't have a chance to watch the program live for a while due to working shifts, but I'm a regular viewer. Keep up the good work. Your channel is informative. Thank you very much, Jen. Exploring with Jen. Stephen, back in the chat here. Haven't seen Stephen for a while either. Back in Spain 3 weeks for 2 months. Can't wait. Keep up the good work. Still enjoying a drop of Rioja. Thank you, Stephen. I've moved on to the Portuguese wine, being here in Portugal, of course, and I'm impressed. Well, I always am, but I'll just put it out there that it's quite good. What else? Ed's saying that Spain has long been known for gremios, guilds, and restrictive practices, keeping employment costs high and high unemployment. Absolutely, Ed, the famous gremios. They control their sectors and they don't like people coming in. So that's one of the problems, isn't it? One of the reasons why. Yeah, we could probably list another 5 or 6 reasons as to why unemployment in Spain continues to be high. I've come to the conclusion also that the companies that control the economy don't like competition. They don't want startups like we've seen in the States, where all of these startups have popped up and now they dominate the economy. They don't want that here, so they're trying to keep them out, I reckon. What else have we got going on? Let's have a look. Janet, Trump, calm down. I haven't come across negative press re the visa change in the UK. Maybe I read the wrong newspapers. Maybe, Janet, don't know, but we saw Mr. Trump there on the front foot saying that if he gets in next year, that's one of the things he's going to change. Sure, he's got a lot on his plate, Mr. Trump, so we'll see what happens. Lorenzo, Spain chat, coming in from a cool, damp South London. Any news on water supplies in Spain? Looks bad, no rain in sight. Yeah, I haven't heard so much recently. There was an article in the paper yesterday or the day before how they're going to have to start thinking about watering practices when it comes to irrigation and things like that for farmland. So that was making the press, but haven't heard too much about drought areas in recent times. As we know, news cycles, they move around. They talk about one thing a lot, and then they move on to something else, and they come back and they move on. That's what generally happens. Alan's got no issue paying $7 for the visa, but I do find that odd that the idea of examining the credentials of incomers doesn't extend to the terrorists that shot up the Vatican from Molenbeek. There we go. So not sure what that's about there with the credential side of it, but maybe you do have to prove that you don't have a criminal record, maybe. Don't know. Fluttergirl coming in from Toronto. Personally tired of hearing anything Trump says. I made a vow never to listen to visit the US while he was president. Yeah, we'll try not to turn this into a Trump debate, but he was mentioned in the second article there that we saw today about that ETIAS visa. Camino expert Gigi's in the chat. The end of the earth, Fisterra. Lovely weather, beautiful upcoming sunset after a bit of rain. Yeah, nice part of the world, Gigi, in summer, not necessarily in winter. Bronny coming in here, £7, I think it's €7 to visit Spain, worth every penny. I'll jump through whatever hoops as long as I get my lovely holidays, says Bronny. There we go. Yeah, I think it's valid for a few years as well. I don't think it's one of these things that you're going to have to pay €7 every time, but I could be wrong. But I think it was like maybe there's some type of period of time that you get that visa for. Not sure. Ed also coming in from a cloudy Barcelona, but hot there, 29 degrees. Good to see you, Ed. Lorenzo asking, have I tried these new drones? Just bought one for £85, half price with full 1080 HD camera and 85 grams, so no license needed in the UK. Wonder if Spain is similar with the rules. No, Spain is not similar with the rules, Lorenzo. If you have any type of drone, you have to have a license nowadays. It's extremely, it's a real inconvenience if you like flying a drone. But basically what's happened is that too many clowns or fools with drones have ruined it for the rest of the population. I have a drone. It's a small drone. It has similar characteristics to that one there. It's a few years old. I would like to get a drone with higher resolution, but the problem is that you can't use them anywhere. And as I said, you have to get a license, which is also not sure how much it costs, but it's not the easiest process to go through, I don't think. I think even here in Portugal, to use a drone, you have to get permission from a government agency, so they make it even more complicated. So just really not worth it. But in the UK, if it's under 85 grams, go for it, because you get some great shots with a drone. Some of those great overhead shots, fantastic. John coming in from New York. Back in New York is Jonathan. We spoke not long ago. I think he was in London. Chiming in late today. Hope everything is okay. Absolutely, Jonathan. Hope you are well. Hope you are well. Patrick also coming in. People who pass away must have unknown underlying problems. Sorry for the young man. Yeah, I don't know what the story is there. Maybe he did have some health issues. Maybe he was a little bit overweight. I've got no idea. But it's not usual for young people to pass away, especially at the age of 24. But maybe he did. Yeah, that could be the case, Patrick. Absolutely. What else we got going on? Let's have a look. Miguel coming in from a cloudy Derbyshire, waiting for torrential rain all day tomorrow, 19 degrees. Well, it's wet in the UK, must be green. The opposite of what we've got here, must be green. Let's have a look. Sometimes difficult to understand as soon as Mexico is done paying for the war. There we go. All right. Thanks, Ross, for that input there. Obviously talking about Mr. Trump again. English tabloids are diabolical, says Miguel. The English media is obnoxious, says News and Analysis with Arturo. The tabloids, yes, not the broadsheets in Janet's opinion. Absolutely, Janet. Probably a different type of news being put out by those two different types of newspapers, the broadsheets and the tabloids. Yes, that is true. What else? Let's have a look here. Miguel saying that the bureaucracy in the Spanish public sector is ridiculous. It's like a comedy sketch. Yeah, it has a bad reputation, absolutely. John also in the chat, coming in a bit late, but hoping everyone is well. Hello, John. Good to see you again. Alan also here. San Diego still. Never had trouble getting healthcare with the UCSD Medical School or the Veterans Administration. There we go. Diffie finally made it to Malaga. Haven't seen Diffie for a while. Made it to Malaga and enjoying the humidity, no doubt, Diffie. Hope you all goes well with that trip there. Dave coming in from Barcelona. Much more normal summer temperatures here this year compared to last year. Yeah, well, that seems to be the case. Hot last year, but as we saw, still not the ideal temperatures, I don't think. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Well, let me see. Well, I've got a super chat. Let me get to that one in a minute. First from JC, finally from the sunny southeast Hastings, displaced Irish woman, LOL. There we go. Thanks, JC, for joining us. We've got a super chat, 10 euros from David. Thank you very much, David. Interesting show and great community. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for your contribution to the channel. Appreciated. Sahara dust suspended in the air. That's it. And the humidity. There we go. That's that air quality issue. Yeah, I can imagine that it's unpleasant. But again, the north is the answer. The north is the answer. You won't find any of that Sahara dust there. Camel Irish heritage coming in from Dublin, 1820, 38 degrees in Italy after being there. Love the pronunciation of here. Love it. Thanks for the great videos. Here, I'm not sure if I pronounce it that way, do I? I think I normally say here. Is the way I pronounce that word. Absolutely. Fowie. What's this? Fowie rhymes with joy. So what's that? Fowie, is it? I think pan con tomate, tomato, roasted almendras and chorizo y jamón, sidra gallega available. Sidra gallega? I thought sidra was more from Asturias, but maybe they have it there as well. Super chat also from James, 9.99. James and Kathy, thank you very much for that as well. Greatly appreciated too. Thank you. Let's have a look. Valid for 3 years is the visa, Janet points out. Free for over 70s. There we go. So over 70s won't have to pay. 3 years for that €7. So that's not too bad. It's not too bad. See what they do with the money, of course. Let's have a look. Jimbo, talking about the football, I think. La final gana Australia 4-0 y no gana España 0-4. So I don't know whether Jimbo is an Australian or a Spanish person there, but thinking that Australia will win the Women's World Cup. We'll see. We only just scraped into the next round. So I don't know whether we're thinking about winning it. Gino's there also coming in, hoping everyone is well, from Canada, who Australia beat yesterday in that football or soccer game. There we go. You have to have a license regardless of the size of the drone, I think Alex is referring to here. That's my understanding, Alex. That doesn't matter what size it is, you've got to get a license. Go through the bureaucracy, go through the hoops to get a license. Someone always makes money when you've got to get a license, right? And that's what they've done. Just put another level of bureaucracy on top of flying drones. Because, as I mentioned before, the rubbish has just fallen on the ground. Some people are not responsible. What else? Let's have a look here. Let me find out. Another super chat from NVN, €2. Thank you very much for that. Also greatly appreciated. So thanks everybody who has contributed today to the channel. Always appreciated, as I said, the support. Super thanks, super chat, buying me a coffee, Patreon. whatever your way of supporting the channel, it is appreciated because difficult to live off YouTube revenue alone. That's what I always say. But thank you very much. Oh, foily. There we go. Foily. Foiwi. There we go. Trying to pronounce some of these words. Foi, like joy. Foi. There we go. Thank you very much for pointing that one out. Now I'm up to the 39-minute mark. I'm going to wrap the live stream up. How do I pronounce beer with an Aussie accent? Beer. Beer. Beer is how I pronounce it. Beer. So that's the pronunciation. Here, having a beer. It's exactly the same. Here, having a beer. This sounds like the Good Friday telethon, says Diffie, going back to the old telethon and appealathon days that we used to have when we were growing up. But thanks for watching, everybody. It's been a pleasure as always. Thanks to people that have supported the channel, and thanks for people that have contributed today in the chat. And I'll see you guys again on Thursday. Hasta luego, hasta entonces. Adiós, buenas noches.